We're going to talk about a very salient issue in Omaha right now, and that is housing and the availability of home ownership options for people, especially those who are just starting out or maybe are not the highest income households in the world. It's an important issue, and we have with us today Jason Thiellen, our good friend from E&A Consulting, CEO of E&A Consulting, civil engineering firm here in Omaha. Jason, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yep.
So,
and colleague of Brad Williams, who's our frequent guest and contributor.
Yeah, Brad
is correct.
Yeah, he's been there a long
Love
time.
it when Brad is on.
We consider Brad like our number 3 guy on the show, and we don't want him to have any sort of inferiority complex because he's just number 3. He's our extremely important number 3.
I thought you were saying he was like a 1B.
He's like a 1B.
He's in between.
Yeah.
Just so he doesn't step on number 2.
Yeah.
So, Jason, you're involved in this group called Welcome Home. Why don't you give us an overview of what Welcome Home is all about?
So Welcome Home is a nonprofit that I helped start. We're a group of individuals and businesses and some financial institutions, some other nonprofits that are focused on trying to bring down the cost of a newly constructed home through non-taxpayer type activities. And so eventually at some point the money runs out when we start continuing to throw tax dollars at this problem, and it's really not creating any real solutions. And so we were trying to partner up with our local municipalities, our relationships on the councils and inside departments, and trying to find some low-hanging fruit as it relates to regulatory items, building codes, and for our group in particular, zoning and subdivision regulations that help bring down the cost of what it takes to put a house on the market at a price that most of us can afford.
So let's start at the beginning on the issue. We see and hear of a ton of apartments going up. Mm-hmm. We hear that land prices are high, construction prices are high, interest rates have gone up over the last year, especially.
Yeah.
Are the developers is the government, and do a lot of people want people to? You hear that whoever they are wants everybody to rent and not own. Is that a misnomer?
I don't know if that's a conspiracy theory or something, but I think what's happening in the market, and I go back to the 2008-2009 crash, it created everything came to a grinding halt here in our market in particular, and certainly out in the rest of the country. But what I witnessed, or at least went through, it just stopped, like somebody turned the faucet off. We didn't build any homes. And then we lost contractors and engineers and architects.
And it takes, 2 years really to take a farm and turn it into a neighborhood, right?
Yep. I used to tell people 12 to 18 months, but it's now probably 2 to 24 months to 2 to 2.5 years. So it takes an amount of time. So when you stop the flow, and what happened is we quit building, quit developing, and then when things came back in 12 and 13, we were behind. Mm-hmm. And so now we're playing catch up. So that's a loss of product on the marketplace. I think what's causing this idea that we want people to rent versus own is just sheer price of a house. The average price last year of a house was, do you know what the average price of a newly constructed house was last year?
I'll guess $300,000.
What do you think?
I will guess right about the same.
$476,000.
In Omaha, Nebraska.
That's correct.
You can tell it's been a while since I've been in the home searching market.
Those are not starter homes.
No. Well,
we don't build starter homes though anymore, right?
We're not even allowed to say starter homes.
No, you're not.
What do we call them? Entry level? No. First homes?
Yes, maybe.
So Jason, we have this shortage because Trent and I are constantly hearing from people. Sometimes it's the young professionals that work in our office. Sometimes it's Grow Omaha listeners, and they'll say things like, let's say you're a lower middle class type household, or you're a 25-year-old young professional that doesn't want to rent anymore, but you can't afford to go to that $400,000 house. First they look at existing homes. Well, the ones that are affordable, there's like a battle of multiple bidders to get those. So we've got this situation in our hands, and if you ask me, society is healthier when you have a significant percentage, a large percentage of the population that owns rather than rents. I mean, anytime people have skin in the game, it's good for Omaha, it's good for America. Talk to us a little bit about these issues and what's driving all this.
Well, so if you're someone that's making, I know what we pay our young professionals, $75,000 to $100,000 a year, and you average mortgage, and if you're paying $476,000 for a house, which means if you're a first-time home buyer, right, and you use NYFA or Freddie Fannie, you get your first mortgage, and then your second is always a line of credit. Your payments, $3,000 a month. I mean, that is a massive. My first house was a Hearthstone home in 2004. We paid $147,000 for a 3-bedroom ranch, 1,400 square feet. Right, that house today is $450,000, and so I agree with you 100%. The reason why I'm passionate about this subject is lack of home ownership in any community is not good. If you have a community full of renters that have no skin in the game, they have no vested interest in making sure their community continues to thrive.
Yeah, you want them to be sticky residents. You want them to stay here and not to be transient. And when they're leasing, sometimes it's just easier to pick up. They have less stuff.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes, that is correct. And if you anytime you own something, you're going to take care of it. You have a vested interest in seeing things around it being better. That's what home ownership does for a community. Not that renting's bad. Everybody in the room has rented, right? Everybody's a renter at some point in their life.
For years, I did.
For years, yeah. And that's part of the process. But that first home, the ability for someone to buy that first home, it does so much for you in terms of just your economic health, but also for community health as well. For every $1,000 that a house goes up, almost 600 families can't afford the house. Wow. That's how tight this is in
Omaha.
That's a nationwide study.
No, but the 600 people.
You would apply that to Omaha as well. Back in the old Hearthstone days, they used to say for every $25 that the house, their mortgage went up a month, it would knock almost 100 people out of the ability to afford the house. And so when I talk to people, I ask them, that's a crazy statistic. Was even back then, and I don't know if that's still true. When's the last time $25 meant that much to you?
Yeah.
A month.
So what do we need to bring down the house of the price of the first home? Does it need to be down to $200,000?
Yeah,
I know there's houses going up
for sure
that are $200,000 now or $150,000.
Yeah, I'm not aware of that low of a house for sale in the marketplace.
You got to take the wheels off.
They no longer exist.
You're talking about the you can't. Yeah, we don't do mobile home parks. That's for sure. That is one. Look, manufactured housing is a solution to this issue for sure. If you look into that product type, it really has come a long ways from what it was.
So what's the resistance
20 years ago?
Well, and that's actually probably related to a lot of regulatory stuff, which we're going to talk to Jason about in the next segment. We have with us Jason Thiellen. He's the CEO of E&A Consulting, civil engineering firm, and he's a volunteer leader of Welcome Home, a group that is encouraging home ownership and the construction of new housing for ownership for people at different income levels. And Jason, when I think about this shortage and this problem we're having, I sit here and I think to myself, why can't some developer just go get, a nice big chunk of land somewhere and shrink the lot sizes and use common amenities, put more houses per acre on the property, and boom, problem solved. Well, it's not so easy.
No, it's not. Over the years, as some of the regulatory items have come in, we've lost a density on our West Omaha subdivisions as well as in Sarpy County. When I got into Omaha in 2006 and we were working with Celebrity in Hearthstone, we were averaging somewhere between 4 and 5 units an acre on 100 acres of ground. And so, let's just do 4. It's just 400 units. And today's market on that same 100 acres, same infrastructure, same cost, land's higher, but grading all that, we're only getting somewhere around 2.6, 2.7 units an acre. Some of that has to do with the house size. Some of that has to do with regulatory items. A lot of those regulatory items are federal, though. They're out of our local control, but there are some local things we can do. And as a building community, we build single-family homes and we build apartments.
So it's one of those things where a lot of people think that our system's not broken.
Correct.
And why should we fix it? But you're saying when it's not affordable to more people, it's a problem.
For sure. I think, what people don't understand when we talk about affordability, for example, as you start going east towards the river, why aren't more homes being affordable? The homes that are brought on today are today's, step up, or some of the affordable housing that those people are in existing homes today that want to either downsize or want to move up, can't leave because there is no product for them to go anywhere. right? So there are some things that we can look at, and what we're trying to work with our local jurisdictions on is look at some of those low-hanging fruit regulatory items where we think that we can maybe create some different product, different lot sizes, density. As I've thought about this, is really one of the solutions that we're focused on. How do we get more units an acre on a piece of ground at an affordable price that gives people an opportunity to move into the areas that they want to move into?
How do we do that? What's the solutions?
Well, we've been working with our mayors and our city council people and staff. Staff in Sarpy County and Omaha are really good. We've got great relationship with them, but it's government. They have a hard time looking at their regulatory items and saying, yeah, maybe that is not yielding the effect or the desired effect we wanted, or this is outdated. We see a lot of outdated code as it relates to lot sizes and product types and different things. But when you start talking about different product types, we as an industry have to start getting a little more aggressive on that kind of product. What's kind of product that we think we can actually build and sell at a price point to hit a market that's not being hit?
Earlier in the 20th century, I should say, early last century, in the East Coast and out west towards Chicago, you saw miles and miles and miles of row house developments. Yep. These row houses were 2 or 3 stories. Each one had a whole family living in it. Do we go back to some stuff like that in Omaha?
This missing middle housing has been thrown out a lot over the last 5 years, but I think so. You go to the bigger cities and people are living on top of each other. I mean, literally, fourplexes that are split, you can own a side. I call it the Midwest mentality. We just don't, most of us don't come from that kind of density and that kind of living. I'm from Western Nebraska, so, a lot of my friends lived on hundreds and hundreds of acres, right? And so, and our house had this huge lot. And so we just don't understand that living.
And what he means by density is what happens is, regardless of cost, when you spread out, when you have urban sprawl and suburban sprawl, it's taxing on the infrastructure. There's more roads, there's more utilities. You've got public services, fire, rescue, and all and infrastructure. So, do we need to make lot sizes smaller?
Yeah, I think so. And look, it's really, you have to have the product created before you create lots, right? Our subdivision codes for residential zoning pretty much across the board are very they're older, and I will give credit to Omaha. Gretna's looked at it. Papillion is looking at it with us, where we are looking at trying to create some different code or some overlays that allow for developers and builders to get creative with the kind of product. To your point, part of the problem why it's gotten so expensive, the lot price has gotten so expensive, we are dividing the cost of developing a lot by less and less units every single year, it seems like. And so if you have to put somewhere between 4 and 6 times the cost of a lot into that house. So when lots were $40,000 or $50,000, and I'm going to use a factor of 5, I could put a $250,000 house up. But right now our lot costs are somewhere between $90,000 and $120,000. The bare minimum house you're going to put on is $450,000 just to justify the cost of the lot.
Which is automatically out of the price
point
range
of most of us.
Tons of home buyers.
That is correct. Really, really tough.
So, Jason, before we let you go quickly, if someone is passionate about this issue and they want to help you and everyone else at Welcome Home make Omaha friendlier for starter homes or lower value new houses, what do they do? How do they get involved?
So they can go to welcomehomecoalition.com and find our website. We have all our contact information on that. They could call us at 402-430-2942 and ask for Perry. Perry Thiellen with the Thiellen Strategy Group is our lobbyist group for Welcome Home.
Are donations tax deductible?
They are. We are 501, not C3. What are we? 501c6.
All righty. Well, that's good stuff, Jason. We appreciate everything you and your colleagues are doing. Appreciate you being part of the show today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the time.
That's Jason Thiellen, CEO of E&A Consulting, talking on behalf of Welcome Home.
If you like this video, be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. And remember, Grow Omaha is not just media. This is a mission. We are trying to build up Omaha and make it an even better place. We can only do that with your help. Share this video with your friends, neighbors, and family.